A single shove echoed through the crowded hallway, and before anyone could react, the quiet new teacher crashed hard onto the polished floor. Her books exploded across the corridor as laughter bounced off the lockers. 5 older students stood over her with smug smiles, convinced they had just humiliated another timid substitute who would be gone before the end of the week. None of them noticed the way she calmly planted one hand against the floor, steadied her breathing, and looked at each of them with the kind of unshakable focus that could stop a heartbeat. They believed they had knocked down an easy target. They had absolutely no idea they had just challenged a woman who had spent 8 years transforming frightened Marine recruits into disciplined warriors. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty, forgiveness is more powerful than revenge, and everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps our community continue sharing stories that remind us humanity is still alive. The morning sun poured through the tall windows of Brookstone High School, filling the hallways with warm light as students hurried between classrooms. It should have been an ordinary day, but rumors had already spread that another new teacher had arrived. Brookstone had developed an unfortunate reputation over the years. Several experienced teachers had transferred away because of constant bullying from a small group of seniors who seemed untouchable. They came from wealthy families, excelled in sports, and believed school rules simply did not apply to them. Every new teacher became another target in their endless search for entertainment. The group was led by Carson Mercer, a tall football captain whose confidence had long ago turned into arrogance. Alongside him were Bryce Holloway, Trent Dawson, Logan Pierce, and Garrett Cole. Individually they were reckless teenagers. Together they became something far more dangerous. They mocked teachers, humiliated classmates, and recorded their cruel pranks to impress strangers online. Every punishment seemed temporary because influential parents always found a way to make problems disappear. When faculty members heard that a new literature teacher had accepted the position, many quietly wondered how long she would last. Her name was Evelyn Hart. She was in her early 40s with simple clothes, comfortable shoes, neatly tied chestnut hair, and gentle eyes that seemed more interested in listening than speaking. She carried herself without any need for attention. During orientation she thanked every custodian, cafeteria worker, secretary, and maintenance employee she met. She remembered names after hearing them only once. She smiled often but spoke softly, leaving many people believing she was shy. Nobody knew much about her past because she never mentioned it. The principal only knew that she had recently moved closer to care for her aging father after losing her mother to cancer. Teaching represented a peaceful second career after years of government service that remained mostly unexplained. Even Evelyn preferred keeping those memories locked away. Long before she entered classrooms filled with teenagers, she had spent 8 demanding years as a Marine drill instructor. Every sunrise had begun with impossible expectations. Every recruit arrived carrying fear, pride, insecurity, or anger. Her responsibility had never been about breaking people. It had always been about helping them discover strength they never believed existed. She had seen panic transformed into courage and selfishness replaced by teamwork. Those years had taught her one lesson above all others. Real strength never needed to announce itself. Her first 2 days at Brookstone passed peacefully. Students noticed her kindness. She treated every question with patience and every mistake as an opportunity instead of a failure. Even the quietest teenagers found themselves participating in her classroom because she created an atmosphere where nobody feared embarrassment. Unfortunately, Carson's group viewed kindness as weakness. By Wednesday morning they had already begun planning another public humiliation. During the passing period, hundreds of students filled the main hallway. Carson casually stretched one foot across Evelyn's path while Bryce bumped into her shoulder from behind. The combination sent her forward. Books flew from her hands as she hit the floor. Laughter erupted. Phones immediately appeared. Someone shouted for everyone to record. Papers scattered like white leaves across the hallway. Several frightened freshmen froze, unsure whether to help. Evelyn remained motionless for only a second. Then she calmly rolled onto one knee with practiced balance, collected herself, and slowly stood without the slightest trace of panic. Her breathing never changed. Her heartbeat remained steady. She carefully brushed dust from her sleeve before quietly gathering the nearest books. The 5 boys expected tears. They expected anger. Instead they found themselves staring into remarkably calm eyes. There was no fear. There was no hatred. Only complete control. Without raising her voice, Evelyn thanked a frightened freshman who helped collect the papers. She smiled warmly at the student before turning toward Carson's group. The hallway gradually became silent. People could sense something had changed. Carson stepped closer, attempting to regain control of the moment by mocking her again. He reached toward one of her books as though preparing to throw it farther down the hallway. Before anyone fully understood what happened, Evelyn smoothly redirected his arm with precise, controlled movement that required almost no force. Carson suddenly found himself gently but completely off balance, unable to move without falling. She never struck him. She never twisted painfully. She simply demonstrated effortless control. His confident smile disappeared. His friends stopped laughing. Within seconds she released him unharmed and calmly picked up her final notebook. The entire hallway stared in stunned silence. She quietly looked at each of the 5 students before speaking with remarkable composure. She explained that there were countless ways to overpower another person, but the greatest victory was always choosing not to use unnecessary force. She reminded them that humiliation often reveals more about the bully than the victim. Then she simply walked away. Not a single student laughed. That afternoon rumors spread through every classroom. Nobody knew exactly what had happened. Stories became exaggerated, but one detail remained consistent. The quiet teacher had somehow embarrassed the 5 toughest bullies without hurting anyone. The principal later invited Evelyn into his office after reviewing security footage. Instead of celebrating what happened, she expressed concern for the students rather than herself. She explained that punishment alone rarely changed people. Understanding why someone chose cruelty mattered even more. The principal looked at her personnel file more carefully that evening. Hidden among years of service records were commendations for leadership, crisis management, and mentoring young recruits under extraordinary pressure. Only then did he fully understand who had joined his faculty. Meanwhile, Carson could not stop thinking about the encounter. Nobody had ever remained so calm around him. Teachers usually became angry. Students became frightened. His parents became defensive. But Evelyn had shown neither fear nor pride. That unsettled him more than any punishment ever had. Over the following weeks something unexpected happened. Instead of avoiding Carson's group, Evelyn greeted them every morning with the same kindness she offered everyone else. She praised small improvements when she noticed them. She corrected disrespect firmly but fairly. She never insulted them. She never reminded others about the hallway incident. Slowly cracks began appearing beneath the boys' tough personalities. Bryce secretly struggled because his parents were divorcing. Logan lived under enormous pressure from a father who demanded athletic perfection. Garrett constantly acted fearless because he felt invisible at home. Trent believed kindness made people weak because that was all he had ever been taught. Even Carson carried hidden wounds. His older brother had died during military service several years earlier, leaving his family shattered. Carson buried his grief beneath anger because he believed sadness would make him appear weak. One afternoon Evelyn found Carson sitting alone behind the gym after football practice. His usual confidence had vanished. Without asking questions, she simply sat nearby. Several quiet minutes passed. Eventually Carson admitted he had never learned how to deal with losing someone he admired. Evelyn listened without interruption. She gently shared that during her years as a Marine instructor she had attended more military funerals than anyone should ever experience. She explained that courage was never the absence of pain. Courage meant continuing to love people despite knowing loss would eventually come. For the first time in years Carson cried without trying to hide it. No cameras captured that moment. No audience applauded. But something important changed forever. Over the next several months the transformation spread beyond Carson. Bryce apologized to a freshman he had bullied. Garrett began volunteering with the school's maintenance crew after classes. Trent helped organize charity events instead of online prank videos. Logan started tutoring younger athletes struggling academically. Teachers noticed the difference. Students noticed even more. The 5 boys who once created fear gradually became examples of accountability. Not because someone had frightened them. Because someone had believed they could become better. Near the end of the school year Brookstone organized an assembly recognizing individuals who had positively changed campus culture. Most expected awards to go to athletes or honor students. Instead the principal invited Evelyn Hart onto the stage. The entire auditorium stood before she even reached the microphone. Then something even more remarkable happened. Carson and his 4 friends walked to the front carrying a framed photograph taken during a community volunteer project. They publicly admitted the harm they had caused earlier that year and thanked the teacher who had refused to define them by their worst moment. Carson explained that real leaders did not seek revenge when they had power. They chose compassion when it was hardest. He said the strongest person he had ever met was not the loudest, the biggest, or the toughest. She was the woman who could have humiliated 5 bullies but instead chose to teach them how to stand back up with dignity. Many teachers wiped away tears. Parents applauded. Even students known for joking fell completely silent. Evelyn accepted the gift with quiet gratitude. She reminded everyone that people are rarely born cruel. Pain often disguises itself as anger, and loneliness frequently hides behind arrogance. She encouraged every student to look beyond first impressions because one act of patience could redirect an entire life. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment sharing whether you believe forgiveness can truly change someone's life, or tell us about a time when kindness transformed a difficult situation. As the final school bell rang that afternoon, sunlight filled the same hallway where humiliation had once echoed across the polished floor. Now that corridor carried different memories. Students greeted teachers with respect. Younger children walked without fear. 5 former bullies helped gather books after another student accidentally dropped them, smiling as they remembered the lesson that had changed everything. Evelyn watched quietly from a distance, knowing that the greatest victories are not won through force but through patience, compassion, and the courage to believe that even those who stumble far from the right path can still find their way home. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May we all remember that true strength is measured not by how easily we can knock someone down, but by how willingly we help them rise again.